Welcome back, brave souls and seekers of the spectral. Gather round as we creep into the darkened corridors of one of the most haunted havens on this side of the hemisphere. Nestled on a bluff overlooking the sleepy town of Radford, Virginia, this imposing structure has stood as a silent sentinel to suffering and madness. A repository of despair since its days as a boys' school, and later as a sanatorium for the mentally troubled. The walls are said to echo with the tormented spirits of its past, souls shackled by tragedy and heartbreak, who now roam its abandoned halls. They say the air is thick with the energy of the misunderstood and the mistreated, making it a magnet for those who dare to communicate with the beyond. Tonight, join the Fearists as we venture into the eye of Virginia's maelstrom of madness for another chapter of Spooktober. So clutch your crucifix close as we dare to disturb the denizens of the damned.
Welcome to Alien Theorist Theorizing. Case File 335. The St. Alban's Sanatorium. I'm Braden.
I'm Zil.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
Deep in the thicket of Spooktober. Spooky season's upon us once again. All across the land. Spooky all month. And another spooky case file. Listen, we got to give a quick shout out at the beginning of the show to Bandito. It's her birthday. Longtime theorite. I'm giving her a shout out. I'm giving her a shout out at the beginning of the show because another theorite threatened to riot, and I don't want him to hurt himself. that's why I'm doing that. I don't want to hurt himself. Listen, he's gonna pull something. But happy birthday to you, Bandito.
Happy birthday.
Cheers to you.
Happy birthday.
I think she's the keeper of all histories of ATT.
Absolutely.
She knows everything.
She knows the show better than we do.
She knows the show better than us.
Absolutely.
True. She was like the other day, she was like, happy 9-year anniversary. I was like, what?
9 years, yeah.
I was like, is that factual? Is this real?
Goddamn, 9 years?
I don't know. It's insane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
9 years. What the fuck was I doing 9 years ago?
We all just recounted our life. What's happened?
What have I done in 9 years?
Yeah. Well, what do I have to show for this? Nothing.
Know way more about the most haunted places.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about another one.
And today it's like we're talking about, if not the most haunted place of all time.
Of all time. I think.
Of all time, anywhere.
We've done like most haunted states, most haunted in America, and Canada. We've done England. I think this takes the cake.
Yeah, it's also most haunted. It holds the record of most haunted Virginia. Holds the record for most haunted sanatorium.
Yeah.
Right?
Most haunted in Virginia is a big title.
That's true.
Right?
That's right.
A lot of shit went down.
Spooky shit going on in Virginia.
That's true. I mean, if you're not ever in
Colonial Williamsburg,
getting your photo snapped by lion.
Yeah, Skull Lion.
Yeah.
The ghostographer himself.
you ain't lying.
Yeah. We're talking about the St. Albans Sanatorium. This place is it's located in Radford, Virginia, which is the same well, not exactly in Radford, but near, like next to put it exactly,
adjacent.
because I know where it is because
you were there.
Well, yeah, I went to Radford University, and
you look
it
like
was
a guy
like
that'd
right
go
there.
to a boys' school.
Yeah, it was an all-girls school.
Wait, hold on.
Hold on.
It used to be an all
Hold on,
girls school.
Dan. We could be hitting way different markets if we knew this before.
It used to be an all girls school. I think it used to be mostly for like nursing and teacher, like women going into nursing and teachers. It used to be kind of like the sister school to Virginia Tech, and then it still kind of is, but then they made it. It's both. You can put men and women at the school. They opened it up like years ago. But
are we talking about St. Albans here? You went to St. Albans?
Yeah. I'm talking about Radford University, which is right there next to it.
Right there next to it. Oh,
yeah. Right. So I knew about it. Like I remember people would talk about it usually around Halloween and stuff. I always remember talking either about that one and then like another one. But I do remember that one of my friends invited me to a lecture. They invited a speaker. It was right around Halloween, and he was a spirit medium, I think was his official title or something like that. And he talked about like they went on a tour there, and he had some kind of crazy stories about what went on when they were in there, which kind of lines up with a lot of the stuff that people
he
say
felt some
about
things.
this. Yeah, some stuff. Like it felt some stuff as well as like saw things happen to people that were in there, and it was pretty spooky. I was like, oh, okay, all right, might be onto something.
It's lending a little credibility to the story. Is that what?
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, at least, yeah, like some corroborating evidence and being like, okay, well, some creepy stuff's gone down in there. So when I heard about it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So yeah, the history of
yeah, I did go to an all girls school. Right, year time of my life.
No, Dan only knows that because he was creeping through the bars of the sanatorium when he was lodged in there in his formative years.
The history of the land that the sanatorium is actually built on goes back to at least 1775, where you have, a really good way to start this off is with a good old fashioned massacre. So the Draper Meadow Massacre took place on this land or near this land, which was kind of goes back where this is all the way back to the French and Indian War.
Yeah.
Where you
and
had
like 1775, those were quick deaths, right? Like it wasn't just people dying in agony on a field.
Yeah. Well, this one kind of goes back. So if you have a lot of around that time, like there was the animosity of both the local Native American tribes and the European settlers that were coming into the area were kind of like at an all-time high. They were already pretty pissed. Yeah. Right. Well, they were already fighting with the French. Like the French and the British were already fighting. So the French were already pissed off and then got everybody riled up. And yeah, so it's like, you had the Shawnee, I guess were the one of the Native American tribes that were around the area, and they had already in that area there was they had settled and had been pushed out, and then you had British settlers or people who were under the British crown coming in. And then already kind of, they had a battle, I guess, around July 9th, earlier that year, and of 1775, where you had at least 1,300 British soldiers that were under the command of General Edward Braddock that were pretty much whipped by French troops and Shawnee.
I like how you wrote in the notes decisively defeated, as if it was some sort of pickup game where they packed up and they're like, oh wow, boys, we got to recoup after this one. Not all 1,300 brutally murdered is how it should have been.
Well, that's not even the reference to the Drapers Massacre isn't that battle. It's actually what happened was there was an attack later that year on some of the a settlement. There was a Drapers Meadow settlement that was there in Southwest Virginia, and that's on the site of what is present day Blacksburg, which is where Virginia Tech is built. But apparently it was raided by a group of Shawnee warriors who killed at least 4 people, including an infant, as reports are, as the reports go, and then captured 5 more and hauled them off.
Yeah. And there's an account of a Mary Draper Ingalls, who was one of the people that were actually kidnapped and escaped. And it's a pretty wild story. She was one of those that was held for ransom by the Shawnee. Before she was taken prisoner, Mary had firsthand witnessed the gruesome deaths of fellow colonists, including her mother and her sister-in-law's baby. Though there are variations, is all accounts like this was ridiculously crazy. Eleanor was tomahawked and scalped. Betty Draper's infant child was brained against the side of a cabin. And then this lady's a fucking badass though, because Mary eventually managed to flee from her captors. But her journey back home wasn't easy. Some sources say that she was forced to abandon the baby she'd given birth to in captivity. Others claim that her fellow escapee, a German woman, attempted to eat her twice. And apparently her and this German lady, it took them, it was a 43-day journey and over 100,000 miles. Or sorry, 1,000 miles. Not
yeah,
they walked around the Earth. Walked around the Earth 4 times.
A couple trips.
Yeah. 1,000 miles.
Classic women.
Equally impressive. But, and then what was cool about this too, Dan, when I was looking into the massacre and stuff. So apparently, you'll probably know this because you're from this area. The river that flows through that, it's called the New River, but apparently it's not new at all because it's literally one of the oldest rivers in the history of the world. Like the Nile is maybe the only one that's older than this place. So you think about that. It's got like literally one of the oldest fucking rivers running through it, which means this is the area that whatever settlers would be going to, throughout all of time since the dawn of humanity, right? In this area. So there's going to be fucking violence from the jump at this place. Right? Like there's been people dying in this area.
Stacked on top. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hauntings on hauntings.
Yeah, it's not even soil. It's just crushed bone is basically what you're walking on.
And then Dan, are you done talking about the massacre? Because I got something else to fucking add to this horrible area.
Yeah, no. I'm done with the massacre stuff, yeah.
I don't know if, Dan, you might be a Civil War buff, but
Dan does the Renaissance Fair every year, I believe.
Yeah, Confederate, right?
I go to the Civil War reenactments.
So this area, which is going to later be the fucking site of St. Alban's Sanatorium, was also the exact place that the Battle of Cloyd's Mountain took place, which was one of the most significant battles fought in Southwest Virginia. So basically, here's a little description of what happened. Early fighting at Cloyd's Mountain appeared to favor the Confederates and their strong defensive position, but persistent Union attacks eventually broke through, forcing the Confederates to retreat. The battle lasted 1 fierce hour, so only an hour, devolving into brutal hand-to-hand combat. One participant recalled most of the regiments engaged in it had several. They had engaged in several important battles prior to this, but this had been by far the most fierce battle they've ever been into. Making matters worse, a fire broke out on the battlefield right after, which basically wiped out all the wounded fucking people.
Fucking sounds like Woodstock 2 or whatever.
Yeah, so they fucking burned to death. Casualties were in the...
Was Limp Bizkit playing? What happened here?
But listen to this, the battle took place for a fucking hour. And you look at the casualties, the Union Army lost 688 members, and the Confederates lost 538.
Dude, are you
over 1,000 deaths in an hour?
Is this still like packing your guns like you're
Civil War?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a long time.
Work,
that's
you're slapping guys with gloves
bayonets
to death.
It's like the first probably like 15 minutes of them shooting at each other. Then the rest is like you're using that thing as a club,
hacking each other.
It devolves real quick.
Well, I like you would imagine more people died after war, right? Yeah. Like getting infections and shit from wounds or losing limbs. But like to have over 1,000 people die in less than an hour.
That's a lot.
Trap souls.
That's fucking nuts.
Trap souls there for sure.
This is why I'm always impressed when people are like Virginia. Virginia is like sites. It probably has more sites of the Civil War battle like of any of the states, and it's just like you can't turn anywhere in like near where I live, and you can't like see a Civil War marker, like history marker, like there was a battle fought here, and it's like 10 feet. There was a battle fought here. It's like everywhere. So it's like I don't know. This whole fucking state is haunted. If you'd be like, oh, this is the most haunted place in Virginia, then it pretty fucking haunted.
Yes.
Well, if that area is haunted and there's a river that runs through it, now that river is haunted. That river continues downstream. Yeah. Anyone who drinks that water
Oh, it's
Right.
You're haunted
talked about the
all
curses.
downstream.
Yeah.
Haunted all downstream.
Oh, you're leaking.
This is how curses work. We
We discussed this last time. Haunting the water
Cursed
supply.
water.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. The New River is pretty cool. The New River is pretty neat. Where I went to university at Radford, like the New River actually ran past like our sports complex, and you could just like hop in, and you would just like take a tube down there or a raft or something, and you could just like raft down and then come back. It was like
sea of curses.
Yeah, just tons of ghosts, just stuff reaching up from the bottom to grab
It's like when Frodo falls in the water and all the fucking hands are grabbing him every time you go in that river.
So the
Don't look into the lights.
So the St. Albans Sanatorium wasn't always a sanatorium. It began the building itself began as a boys' school, and the facility was built as St. Albans Lutheran Boys' School in 1892. So there's apparently the boys' school like quickly developed a reputation where it was like it was a very athletics focused school.
Oh, you know what
for
that
most
means?
cases.
Bullies.
Oh yeah,
Major.
apparently bullying was like not only
The
was it
go-to.
condoned, but it was fucking encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like it was one of those times where it was like they were kind of, even though the school was like lauded for its like it would get a lot of like football scholarships and things like this. It was like there was still this undertow.
A lot of suicides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely like there's reports of that stuff kind of happening where the bullying was and you can imagine it's just one of those times like
A lot
back
of deaths
during
due
that
to
time.
fucking swirlies.
Yeah.
Drowning due to swirly.
But like the school itself, I mean, did relatively well until you had the actual like.
Well, they were winning football championships.
Yeah,
That's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters.
It was a competitive school, like the competitive nature. So not just like in academics and sport and just locker room brawl.
Yeah.
So the school ended up closing after like I think the founder had died, and then like kind of a couple years after that,
They made fun of him.
by
He
the end
killed
of
himself.
Every time these kids finished school, they'd be like, "These kids didn't fucking learn anything. They've all got CTE.
Yeah,
What are we doing here?
dummies? Like just trying to. It's like within like a couple of, like I don't know, it was like 10, 11
But
years.
goddamn, them boys can play football.
As long as they're winning.
Yeah. I mean, has things really changed?
No,
Like, let's be honest.
The bullying
You
is
can
just
throw
going
it-
online.
Hey,
Like,
if you
the only
can
difference
throw
is
a
now-
pigskin, if you can throw a
But-
pigskin in the Southern States, dude, you're diplomatic immunity.
Well, it's like the only difference is now you have degrees in like basket weaving. Like, we got to get these guys through school somehow.
We got to get them paying those outrageous tuition fees. Yeah.
If you don't pass your basket weaving class, unfortunately, son, you're not going to be able to play in tomorrow night's game. You got to score an A or higher on this basket.
So the school ended up closing its doors officially in 1911, and then 5 years later, this is when it was reopened as a psychiatric infirmary. Now, this is where the story kind of, I think, takes a turn where it's like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
For sure.
This is
And a
like
bowling alley.
this is this is a story that is definitely the moral here, where
It's kind of the
Doctor-
story of any kind of one of these places.
Okay, you know what though? Like, that's the thing, and I do
Starts
see where
off
you're
well.
going with the good intentions, but at the same time too, I also see a little bit of fucking cheap labor. Farming, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like they might be making some money off these fucking crazies.
Well, I think at the beginning, when they first opened it, they're like, hey, finally, we have a spot to put these people. And everything was going pretty well. They're like, hey, this is working out. These people have somewhere. And then they're like, we can make money off
Finally
this.
got a place
And
for these women that
they're
talk
like,
too much.
And then, they're like, grandma's talking a little too much. They're like, dump her off at the sanatorium. And then I think the problems start from there, where it's just like the population in this place, just like, because of the success and, this good stories coming out, they're like, there's a bowling alley. You'll be fine there, grandma. Don't you worry.
get me out of here.
Listen,
Yeah,
fucking
your
lobotomy
wrist-
at noon.
Oh, you
bowling
hurt your
by
wrist?
free? Come on.
You hurt your wrist? Well, now you're going to have a sore back because you just pulled landscaping duty. It's basically what was going on.
Yeah, the doctor that founded the St. reopened the facility as St. Alban's Sanatorium was Dr. John C. King, who had previously done a stint as a superintendent of the Southwestern Lunatic Asylum. And at his time at that institution, he had felt that like he was very dissatisfied with how that place was run. And he was like, I think that people, his whole idea or his whole mentality was that the patients that come to these to go to these facilities need to be treated better. Like he felt like they were not being treated as well as they could, and that they should have way better conditions. Listen,
which is saying at this time, it's like, yeah, he's saying it's poor, and then what he proposes is still terrible. In today's standard, like you're like, not much better.
Hey, listen, it's way easier to push a little fucking electroshock therapy if you got bowling.
Yeah, sure.
Right, like,
yeah, and it's like I think it's probably relative because it's like the idea is like those places. It's like you're like they were like chaining them to walls. You know, it's like where you had people like you just chain them into a cell and just like leave them there, and then they get 3 meals a day, and then
that's
get
definitely going to cure them from being crazy.
You know,
confine them, chain them up, throw them away, like
whereas Dr. John C. King, he felt that was necessary that like these places should be for rehabilitation, and comfortable, most of it. So a number of renovations that he made to the facility are things like he had them install a rooftop garden. Nice. He had them, like you guys mentioned, the bowling alley. There was a bowling alley for recreation installed in the basement of the building.
Everyone knows psychiatric patients love to roll.
It's therapeutic bowling. You know?
That sound of a strike, man. That's nothing better.
Nothing says comfort like lobotomies. Right? Let's sever the fucking frontal lobe. We don't need that.
You don't need the frontal lobe to bowl.
No.
So yeah, and so like we mentioned already, these lobotomies and therapies or eventually like instituted there, these were considered cutting edge for the day. These were like, okay, these are what are going to, fix these patients that are here. So, but of course, like by our standards now, and we know probably like within a couple of years, I think people realize that a lot of these treatments that these vulnerable patients were undergoing were actually very much inhumane and like cruel.
There's nothing wrong with drilling a hole into your skull and fishing around in there, trying to fix someone.
Yeah, well, not only that.
They didn't have to go through the skull though, right? They went through the eye.
Yeah, I was like through the.
Everyone was through the eye. I think they drilled a couple holes.
Well,
in the
they
skull.
probably drilled. You're probably.
They
right,
drilled a couple.
Probably, right? Probably in the the more archaic lobotomy.
They had to start somewhere.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
100%.
Here's my one. Like, did they even have like one success story? Like, how did they justify?
Sure, probably someone who was so there was probably crazy that they did that, and he was now lethargic, and they're like, fixed him.
Hey, listen, listen.
Yeah.
You got grandma's, seeing voice. You hear grandma's talking to people that aren't there. Now all of a sudden she's not in your house. Now she's not in your house. That's a success story at this time. You're like, hey, we're not dealing with her. Perfect. Phenomenal. It just struck me as no one saw any kind of problem with bringing all these people that are hearing voices to the most haunted place in all the land.
Well, you hide it with the bowling alley and the rooftop terrace and barbecues every day.
Well, but I think Dan's right. Like this, we're just like this doctor was under his understanding was using like state-of-the-art technology to try to potentially treat these people, and he was trying to make it like a nicer place.
Ice picks.
That was though. Like, I'm just
sterile ice pick was like, yeah.
Yeah, but how many years before this were we fucking leeching people?
Were they even washing hands yet? Had they figured that out?
Probably not.
I think they did after the Civil War, like Civil War, 1911. Yeah, they kind of figured it out. But yeah, it's like not only was there like lobotomies, but there were other ones that were like you had of course, the classic electroshock therapy. Some of the other one was hydrotherapy, where doctors would wrap up their well, it's like they said they would wrap patients up in freezing cold towels. Like they would just wrap them up in cold towels like a mummy, like as far as it was. And then
nothing cures the brain like hypothermia. Or
they'd strap them down inside a steaming hot tub for like days.
I can get on board with that one. That one sounds all right.
Yeah, I like that. Like what 104?
People are doing cold tubs all the time. That was state of the art technology back then.
I mean, the only one that now I think they still they don't do it in the same way, but like electroshock, they still do that in some fashion. It's probably lower voltage and more directed to the point of the brain they're trying to get to, but. I mean, because that's the only one that kind of makes sense, because your brain's an electrical device. You try and shock it in the right way. Maybe it's going to rewire it. Back then, they're like, just
it works for the heart.
Strap them up and just turn it up.
Yeah.
I tell you, I've seen lots of videos. Yeah. I've seen lots of videos of people acting crazy and then get some electroshock therapy from the police, and they stop acting crazy in a hurry.
This is true.
They just lay on
hit the ground hard and quick,
stiff as a board. Behavior changed.
So apparently one of the rooms where some of these treatments took place, they were known to be at least one or two or several suicides. And they call this place the suicide bathroom. That's what it's known as now. Like if you go in there, they're like, this is the suicide bathroom. And you're like, oh, that's a good place. Like, you know, exactly.
Could you not
if your building has that? Yeah. If your building has a suicide bathroom, you're like, all right, well. So over time, like you had the psychiatric infirmary, like receiving thousands of patients as like kind of people like started, it was doing relatively well, I guess, by their standards.
Everyone's trying to get rid of grandma.
But the thing is like, of course, it falls prey to the same thing that happens to a lot of these places, is that you have like the critical understaffing shortage that they end up having. So at one point, I guess in 1945, it was figured out that there was only 48 staff for about 6,500 patients.
That's all right.
That's like our old folks' homes here are just as poorly staffed.
It's true.
And they always, you're seeing videos of people beating the seniors, so it hasn't changed too much.
Who's beating the seniors?
You always see videos pop up on like X and shit of someone always.
You got a weird feed.
Your X feed is fucked up.
Yeah.
Braden's curated
like slapping someone.
You watched
got some elder hate.
You watched 15 minutes. You watched 15 minutes of guys beating up grandmas. Like, they'll give you more of that.
Yeah.
But by the 1990s, a lot of the services that St. Albans offered were transferred to another location, like another bigger hospital. And then like within a couple of years after that, they closed the hospital
That's
for good.
Bigger than St. Albans? Because isn't like St. Albans like 6,800 square feet? Like it's fucking massive.
Well, they have 6,500 patients. Yeah, it's got to be huge.
Yeah. But they like moved a lot of that stuff like offsite. So then they kind of closed it down, like slowly closed down the building, probably like a more central location. Cause that place, like, well, I guess it's normally where you'd put a sanatorium. Like Radford University is like in the middle of nowhere, like down there. Like it's not very big. Like that town that it's near, like Pulaski County, is like super small, which is
you mean like just because you don't have people living in the area to staff this place?
Yeah, like you wouldn't have that many people living out there. It's Southwest Virginia, and like a lot of stuff's kind of spread out. Like even like as far as Radford University goes, like Radford's the only thing that's kind of there. Like it's just a university town, and then you're like 25 minutes from Virginia Tech, which is Blacksburg, which is basically just a town for Virginia Tech. But yeah, it's like they moved it to another like centralized hospital that was probably easier to access. I can't remember what the name of the.
I wonder, like, I would like to know if it was similar to like what we put up with. Like here, we had a big one somewhat close to us, Riverside, where they slowly started cutting back, and like there were small portions of it that were still open. There's actually small portions of it that are still open today, but for the most part, like they attribute the starting of our like homeless population in the downtown east side of Vancouver to the closing of Riverside Hospital.
Yeah, there's at least in the United States, I can't remember the years, but I know there's a time where they shut down. I can't remember if it was like the Reagan administration, but it was a lot of that. It was like where they shut down a lot of these places, and then they started to kind of shift away. yeah, like they kind of, there's always this, I just remember the idea, or people always being like, the talking point where it's like, yeah, they dumped all of these people out onto the street and they had no place to go. So now you have all this, not only do you have homeless people, but you have mentally ill homeless people
who can't function within society without help.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
People who need help. Exactly. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
It's scary.
People helping people.
People helping
They had no
people
eagles
all day.
back then.
Nobody was helping people.
But you know, St. Albans probably had at least one success story, because in the 2000s,
They got one.
Tim Gregory.
They got one.
There were 6,500 people there.
Tim Gregory, who was a previous patient at the hospital,
Great guy, drools a lot.
he became the property's new owner, and his
What?
Yeah,
That's
and
a fucking rags to riches story.
Yeah.
From inmate to fucking owner.
Yeah, that's good.
so
Impressive.
his stated mission was to, or the idea was to renovate it and to become a research and enlightenment center, is what they said. I think it was going to be some kind of like some new age
Scientology
therapy
2.0
kind
shit.
of stuff. But in order to do that, to raise the funds for it, they now is pretty much, it's just like a haunted house. Like, I don't think they've changed it much, like, since they closed it down. Because when they closed it down, like, in that short time and during the 90s, I mean, you have this place really close to a college town, like, just a lot of vandalism, people breaking in, you know, because, of course, like, you have a creepy sanatorium on the hill, and you want to go visit and
like
hang
it's
out
huge
there.
by all accounts, and just
Poorly guarded, I'm sure, like, you know, and they just, like, bunch of people broke in there, and it's like, from, you know, the videos I've seen in this place, a lot of that stuff either, you know, is still there, or, you know, or they painted it on there. I don't know. But it's like a lot of the hallways are still like just totally just ripped up, or, you know, contain just a lot of graffiti and stuff that people have done over the years. But it's now, but they run a haunted, they still maintain it. Like, there is still like a building manager or a facility manager, and they run like a haunted house out of it every year. And they have ghost tours there, according to TripAdvisor, at least. Like,
I mean, it's a pretty smart business investment. Right? The ghosts are already there.
Yeah.
Right? You
What
just
else are you gonna do with
facilitate it. Yeah, you just sell tickets to them.
But yeah,
There's no upkeep because you want it to be shitty. Right? The shittier, the more dilapidated, the better, the scarier it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be spooky.
Right?
Like, if you fix it up, like, the ghosts aren't gonna
little
be
to
as
no
scary.
overhead.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like,
business.
fucking
Yeah, and you don't have
demons.
to pay the ghosts. You don't have to pay the ghosts.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have a union.
Yet.
But yeah, it has earned the name, as some call it, the most haunted place on the East Coast. As there is a number of spirits and a couple of like named ones that people have had like since we got there. But do we probably want to take a break before we get into the really spooky part?
Short break. Be right back.
Right back. Look, are you like Dan and you got a trip to Thailand coming up and you want to impress the locals? Well, then you want Rosetta Stone. It's been the trusted expert for 30 years with millions of users and 25 different languages offered. It's got fast language acquisition. Rosetta Stone immerses you in many ways. No English translation, so you really learn to speak, listen, and think in that language. It's like having a personal trainer for your accent. It's convenient, flexible learning anytime, anywhere. Learn on the go with mobile app or at your desktop on your own schedule. Rosetta Stone has amazing value. Lifetime membership has all 25 languages for any and all trips and language needs in life. That's a lifetime access to 25 language courses Rosetta Stone offers for 50% off.
Sure, there's competitors to Rosetta Stone, but Rosetta Stone offers more languages and a lifetime membership. You could go over to Babbel and get 60% off, but it's not for a lifetime. That's why we're promoting Rosetta Stone today. All right, Theorites, don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. Alien Theorist Theorizing listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/today. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your damn life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/today or look for the link in the show notes. Peace.
So, to confirm that this place is the most haunted place on the East Coast, I turned to the only, reliable source of information for these types of things. And I watched an episode of the show Ghost Asylum.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds
like credible. Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
that's what I thought.
They're looking into exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's the title of their fucking show. That's what we're talking about.
It's good.
Ghost Asylum. So Ghost Asylum
is it like Ghost Asylum seekers? Or cowboys? Is there any way we can spice this idea up?
Ghost seeking political asylum. Please fill out this form. Apparently
there's an app.
So I know there's. I mean, I think we're all aware of the plethora of ghost shows out there, right? I mean, there's
Never seen one.
Not a single one.
Not a single one.
Not a single one. Not with our Lord and Savior Zach Baggins.
No, I'm just that shit. I don't want to be scared.
You're not even scared. No,
I'm just kidding. I love scary shit. Like scary shows are great, but these kind of things they're fucking lame.
So it's like,
Nothing
of course, you got Ghost Adventures. You've got, what are you talking about? Zach Baggins has been possessed on multiple occasions.
Listen, unless you're opening the gates to hell, I don't care.
That they do that on a regular basis. That's what he says. They're always opening the gates to hell in every single episode. I don't know. That's what they say.
That's how they open the show. They're like, just to let all the viewers know, be careful watching because we've just opened the gates to hell.
Oh yeah, it's UFO Cowboys as well. But yeah, so this one, I think this one came out. I guess the last season aired in 2014. So maybe they found ghosts. But the
listen, there's only so many asylums. You can't make new asylums.
Yeah, sure.
You pigeonholed yourself with the name Ghost Asylums. You're like shit, guys.
No, because you could do asylums, then you got to do the sanatoriums, then you got to do the fucking infirmaries and lunatic fucking places and places for the hard R's and all that stuff.
Yeah, you could drag out about 9 seasons of that show.
It's the slow R. Why are you saying the hard R?
It's the
slow R.
The
slow R, not the hard R. I thought the hard R is the other N-word.
I don't know any other
hard
one.
R is the N-word?
What are you talking about?
That's what I thought.
I don't know that word. That's not my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Well, you could say the N. You could say the N-word with a hard R. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worse.
Oh,
that's
you mean
worse
like
version.
if you're like rapping? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't.
Okay.
That's extra. You doubled up if you went that route.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
The slow R isn't as bad.
I had to look up this show.
You'll figure it out.
And
I know I do, but
exactly what it is. So apparently this series features a group of ghost hunters who are a paranormal team, and they are known as the Tennessee Wraith Chasers.
Wraith Chasers.
TWC.
Wraith Chasers is a great metal band right there. Boom.
It is a pretty cool. I looked up I had to go to their Facebook page. I went to their Facebook page. They are what I found surprising is they are. So I guess it fits in here. So their whole motto kind of for the show, according to
so they are cowboys.
Not necessarily. They're more like, so their motto is the key to catching a ghost is combining modern scientific method with some serious backwoods Southern know-how.
Southern know-how.
Yeah, you gotta get that
which
know-how.
I believe the backwoods Southern know-how apparently is I guess some sort of that might be a euphemism for evangelical
Lassoing?
Christian stuff, because I don't know if they always do it, but at least in this one, and this was the second season.
Do they let snakes bite them before they go in?
No, but they always say a pretty serious prayer before they go in, and start off their investigation, with amen. So
I'm going to put that on my resume from now on, is when people are like, what makes you qualified? I'll be like, just a little bit of that Southern know-how,
Southern Okanagan, buddy.
Southern something. They don't even know exactly where.
They can switch it to Northern know-how.
Yeah. Just got some of that Northern know-how.
So everybody's south of somewhere.
Are all these people who, this is a stupid question, but all these people that are in these ghost shows that believe in all these, if you're going to believe in ghosts, you obviously believe in fucking God and Jesus and shit, right? That kind of goes hand in hand, I'd imagine, right?
I don't know if it does.
Depends. No? Depends. You could be if it go. Some of these shows, it's more the ghosts are manifestations of energy. They are a type of energy. It doesn't necessarily.
So they're not demons or
No, some do.
Okay.
Some believe like in demons, or whether it's some kind of different type of evil manifestation. I guess you can still say good and evil, but it doesn't necessarily have to be within the Christian mindset. But this one definitely is, because I went to their Facebook page. There's a lot of posts about a lot of like like AI generated like cross photos, like bless the day Sunday, a lot of that stuff, which is fine. It's like okay.
Why? Listen. You're going to all these different asylums. Like you're going to want to have Jesus on your side.
Yeah,
just
somebody
in
in
case,
your corner,
it doesn't hurt.
Right.
Just having holy water and a squirt gun.
So also their whole aim was to be the first like paranormal team to track a ghost. Is what I got from watching this show.
Oh, dude. Are we talking Man Tracker but Ghost Tracker? That would be a great show.
So
That's a great idea.
Feeling, tasting for sulfur.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. This place is definitely
We got him.
paranormally
We got him.
activated.
We're getting close.
So they
I can
dude,
smell
that'd be
the
so good.
ectoplasm.
Dusters.
So
any reason why we could get all four of us have matching dusters for a show called Ghost Trackers? But if that's
Right.
the show, we also have to have. We're the Ghost Trackers, but we're
Could be
also
Ghost
known as
Cowboys.
the South Okanagan Ghost.
That's
Wranglers.
Ghost chasers.
Yeah.
Central
Like they always
Okanagan
have
charm,
two.
actually.
They always have two names. Is that like they got the show name and then they got like another name for the group? And you're like, well, why wasn't the show just named that?
Yeah, I can't.
was
Well,
taken.
because like they call taps or whatever is not called taps. It's just ghosts.
Ooh, that's Skywatchers. That would be a good
Yeah.
name for a show.
Yeah.
We should steal that.
No, that's that's the name of the group in UFO
That's the
Cowboys.
group.
That's what I'm saying. That's
And we
but that's-
steal
they
it
don't
as
call
the show name.
that, so we
No, they
stole
don't.
it.
Yeah,
Which I don't know why.
we're like our show's called Skywatchers and our group's called the
we're the
UFO
UFO
Cowboys. We flip it on them.
Just do parody shows of all
We
those
can do
shows.
it better.
So
could
on
do
their
better.
during their investigation of this of St. Albans, like they spoke to Marcel Hanauer, who is a property manager there, and she definitely had some stories talking about staff that they had that they have working there. Have reported a number of things, creepy sounds, whether it's, footsteps where there shouldn't be footsteps, in down the hallways, these dark hallways and whatever. And then I think she said they had at one point they were having like a hiring session with like two, prospective employees. And like one of them like freaked out. Like they had like a couple, they heard some sounds and they just
really?
like bolted out of the room and
What are
like,
they
it's like, I
hiring them
can't be
for?
here. I think they hire them to actually like give like historical tours of the place. Like that still is what
Well, I
part
feel
of
like you
funds is saying.
wouldn't apply unless you kind of had like a strong fucking constitution,
Yeah.
Like, could fucking do with this
Well,
shit.
or it's one of those things where you're like, oh, this sounds like a fun summer job working at a tourist trap. And
That's
then you go
fair.
there, you're like, it's not a trap. Or it is a trap. I don't know. What's worse?
Well, it's like one of those things where I've always wondered. It's like you got fucking Shaggy and Scooby Doo that are fucking working for, they're hunting ghosts and shit, but they're the biggest pussies around. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
So of the spirits that are said to inhabit and manifest within St. Albans, there are a couple that are relatively well known. One of the most popular ones is what people have come to name as red eyes, and it is
Oh, baby.
it normally people say it manifests itself because it's as it's named appropriately, that it has like two glowing red eyes in the dark, and they're saying usually it is in different areas of the building. But not only people say that the impression that they get from this manifestation is that it's not just like a single spirit, it is like an overarching or like an amalgam of the evil and pain and cruelty within the building. Like it has manifested itself into this one entity, is what a lot of people seem
So, like,
to
kind of
agree
like
on.
an Opossums Prime, like everything combining into one creature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime.
Opossums
like
all the-
Prime.
all the possums?
create.
Oh, right. I was like,
Bigfoot?
wait, it's like, okay, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the king rat king.
Yeah, yeah,
Except
yeah.
That's what Sasquatch is. It's all possums tangled together.
Then there was another one that they said there is a ghost of a patient that they said was known as Becca. And this one they attached a creepy story to, where apparently the legend goes that there was a patient who had a stillborn child and then managed to put it like in a jar and keep it in a closet.
Baby. You're talking pickle baby, huh?
Yeah.
The crazy pickle baby.
She kept this jar like in her room in a closet until some staff ended up finding it, and then after they took it away, they say that she committed suicide
in the suicide bathroom.
In the suicide bathroom.
Oh man, who did that? Was it? What's her name? Is it Celeste Baratheon? What's Stannis' wife's name?
I don't remember.
Remember, she pickled all her fucking fetuses too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, why were the nurses like, you just can't keep this because it's creepy?
Like, because it's unsanitary. I mean, can't just keep
they were fucking ice picking each other back then.
Well, yeah, they're like, well, you can't keep this one. So then,
it's one of the come on, like get him a Tamagotchi or some shit. Like, don't be putting your baby in a fucking jar. That's fucking
it's good. Yeah,
one of the other suspected spirits is said to have, and this is where they combine a little bit of there's a bit of a cold case here, where you had they had.
I wish Dan said that and then just went silent.
They have in the area is associated with the murder of Gina Hall, who at the time of her murder, she was an 18-year-old freshman at Radford University, and like they convicted a person,
Stephen Epperly of her murder. But the thing is, what's unusual about the case is they never found the body. He was the first person convicted of murder in Virginia without having a victim's body.
They just
when was this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. So the story goes, on the evening of June 28th, 1980, Gina Hall left her apartment in Radford, traveling to a nightclub at the Marriott located in Blacksburg. Dan mentioned already Blacksburg. Miss Hall met Stephen Epperly at the club. Shortly after midnight, Gina and Stephen traveled together to a friend's residence at Clater Lake, located in Pulaski County. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Miss Hall called her sister and advised her that she was out at the lake with a guy named Stephen and that she wouldn't be home till approximately 6 a.m. So she doesn't come home in the morning. The sister gets a little weirded out, kind of puts out a missing persons report. They ended up finding her unattended vehicle, which was at less than a mile from St. Alban's Sanatorium on Hazel Hollow Road, which is a spooky ass name for a road.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? Come on now. Under a railroad trestle. So Stephen Epperly, who we were talking about, he is a Radford local. He was a teacher at the time. His DNA was found in her vehicle that was left at the scene. So obviously, he was the last known person with her. So he's already a fucking, suspect.
Oh, yeah. Prime. So yeah. Number
so
one. So
yeah, he maintained his innocence the entire time, but he ends up becoming the first person in the history of Virginia to get arrested without there being the presence of a body.
Is he saying ghost?
Pardon?
Is he saying ghost? Like, is he like, it wasn't me, it's ghost?
No, we don't know, maybe. But this is where we can tie in St. Alban's a bit here. The sister never really gave up looking for her sister's body, right? They want that kind of closure, I would imagine, right? So in 2009, her sister reached out to this forensic pathologist who's kind of working on a new technique where they're able to get DNA from soil samples. And so they go all the way around the New River area, which is, we've talked about New River. And they found 8 different locations with Gina's DNA in it, which was interesting. So now how this ties to St. Alban's is Epperly supposedly used to work at St. Alban's. And he used to take his friend, after it was closed down, he used to take his friends to the fucking site and to the bowling alley where, he used to work, and they'd hang out, crush beers, hang out. So they speculate that this is the area where he dismembered Gina Hall's body. And that's why when you go down in the bowling alley, that's the ghost you see. You call her name, you just call Gina, and she appears.
I think there's always part of it where people are saying that he may, like, I don't think he would have, but it's like he managed to like incinerate her body is one of the things that I got rid of it. People like suspect he got rid of it by incinerating her body in like the boiler room down there or whatever. And it's like,
well, he had intimate knowledge of the facility.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what people are saying is that Gina's spirit still haunts there. And that was definitely part of this episode of the Ghost Asylum where they were trying to, like, they interviewed the lieutenant of the Radford Police Department, and I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, she's there, or perhaps still there.
Are you gonna call the Ghostbusters? What the fuck you want from me? Like, what am I gonna do?
All the Tennessee Wraith Wranglers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the lieutenant's like, well, maybe you guys can speak to the spirit down there and get us some information. Because that reliable ghost information would definitely fly in court.
Yeah. So the ghost haunts where the murder takes place, not where the body is, right? That tracks.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me, right? Well, that's where the soul is leaving the body, so it's trapped.
The torment that takes place is where the ghost is deposited in this.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That's why the ghost is still there,
right?
For sure.
Unless you get into the water supply,
right? Yeah,
if you're murdered and thrown into water,
then it's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. That whole river is haunted.
What happens if you drink from that river? Are you haunted?
I think so.
Yes.
But then what if
until you pee it out?
That's what I mean, right?
No, it gets absorbed.
Unless you have like a kidney condition or something.
Yeah. Well, what about the portion that gets like absorbed into your blood?
Huh? That's what leaching is for.
Okay. Well, we have to do a test, I guess. We're gonna have to find two rivers,
water,
kill a few people, throw them into one.
Well, Zell's got to drink some cursed water. So basically, you got to go over to Shannon Lake and take a cup out of there.
Why Shannon Lake?
Ghosts.
Haunted. I mean, Okanagan Lake's got tons of deaths in it every year, so it's got to be haunted.
Oh yeah, yeah,
take a sip from there. I mean, I've taken sips from there accidentally, so I guess I am haunted.
So another interesting piece of the show that I was watching was that they it's very I kind of enjoyed it a little bit because they have this other they have a segment of the show where they build like ghost traps.
Nice.
So it's very, to me, it's very Mountain Monster-ish, where it's like they build like these little contraptions that they figure will
like you get
capture.
A stick and a rock and you prop it up.
You're not right? Far off with what they built for this. You're not very far off. So their whole idea was this: is like since the land has some Native American Native American associations with the land, they figured that they were going to use a dream catcher to kind of like what they called it. And is like, so they built this little box. It's not even a box. It's a wooden frame. It was a wooden box frame with copper wire kind of stringed out throughout it, like in like a spider web fashion. Then they took what they called a quartz prism, but it looked suspiciously like just a glass crystal ball, and they put that in the middle. And then they electrified the copper wire with like a battery. And they're like, and then they took a picture of Gina Hall and they put it underneath the orb, like inside there, which the plan was to capture a ghost
checks out
in the prism. Like this is what they firmly believed was going to happen.
Buddy fucking that owns the place would have been like, no, it's my number one fucking.
What are you doing?
Hit. Like, what are you doing?
So I thought it was funny because they did go shopping as they do in most of these shows, or they went like, do the little local run around, and it's like they went to Main Street, which was like, I knew where they were. I was like, oh yeah, like that's where I went to school. I was like, I used to walk down that road. I thought it was interesting. So they went to this one shop, and it's just a big stoner shop. Like, it's all it is. And it's like, where are you going to get dream catchers? And like, oh, this shop looks good. Bunch of tie-dye and like Rastafarian hats. Just like, that's all it was.
Smoke shop.
Yeah, that was pretty much all it was. And they're like, oh, let's get a couple quartz crystals while we're at it. And
ours was called Wigwam.
Oh yeah,
I
wigwams.
used to buy all my T-shirts from there.
So yeah, it was they threw that quartz prism in there, and they turned on their thing, and they did their little ghost hunting thing. They have a ghost box in that show, which has a very noticeably spooky voice. It's not the speak and spell one like they have in Ghost Adventures. It's like one that is like sounds extremely sinister, and it's like they're asking it, and it's like, how long have you been here? And it's like, always. It's like, oh, okay,
Oh, shit,
great.
got some Zool going on there.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. So they did their little ghost investigation with their dream catcher contraption put up there. And I'm like, if you're going to catch a ghost, I guess they did this every episode. I didn't watch any other episodes. It's the only one I watched, but I guess that's like their thing is to build traps to track and catch ghosts is their
In a
goal.
southern style.
That's their southern know-how,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's stick with a rock, basically. That's southern know-how. That's good.
Does the rock have to be a certain composition, like a certain amount of iron or?
Well,
quartz?
they said quartz.
Quartz, okay.
They said quartz.
That
Since
quartz does trap energy. That's right.
That is what. Yeah, that's
I've heard
what they
this.
said.
It's a little southern know-how.
That's a southern
for you.
know-how.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just a stick in a rock. It's a special kind of
No.
rock.
Is
it a
stick
it's
with
an
quartz on
active
Is it a
rock.
special kind of stick? What kind of wood is the stick?
They just used it looked like just regular.
It's like a pine branch.
So they're walking around with
Could have been
with
just
like
balsa
Gandalf,
wood, I don't know.
Gandalf staffs. Is that what you're describing here?
It didn't look like any sort of special like blessed stick or anything.
No,
That
when
was
you're
sticks they
looking
used
for a
the
stick to
frame.
trap a ghost, you don't choose the stick. The stick
Right.
Stick
chooses you.
No, that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, that tracks.
It's got to be shaped like a gun. Those are the best sticks.
But these guys were on the cutting edge because they took that crystal ball. Like they did their investigation. Two of the guys said they saw red eyes for sure. They felt like when they specifically kind of staked out the bowling alley, they felt like that was one of the most paranormally activated spots within the building. Like two of them were down there, and they said that they got a bunch of heebie-jeebie feelings, and one of them said that something kept messing with his ear, I guess, kept flipping on his ear or something like that. So they kind of freaked out. And I guess that also qualifies the guy who's like, the ghost is trying to figure out our weaknesses. And I was like, what? Wait, like just like poking at your ear. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah, you're trying to feel
Achilles
figure
ear.
out where you are.
Yeah. So, so they definitely felt like something was down there. And one of them said that he definitely saw the red eyes down there. With the ghost trap, they kind of felt like one or two things was going to happen. They were either going to capture the spirit of Gina Hall, or what they had. Their theory was that red eyes, and this kind of tracks with something that I'll bring it back to that lecture that I attended when I was at university at Radford. Some people,
okay, Dan, we get it. You have a college education.
The theory is that red eyes is kind of like, it's one of these, and I think we've talked about this on a couple other ones about hauntings, where it's like you have an entity that is like actively keeping other spirits there.
Oh, collecting them.
Right. So it's like it's not like its own kind of thing. It can either, it might be an amalgam or something like that, but but yeah, it's like it is the
Some
keeper,
sort of keeper
of these things.
Yeah.
Or like it won't let them go to the other side because it is actively preventing that. And this is the lecture that I talked to. The spirit medium said that was the kind of the feeling that he got when he felt out, his sixth sense was telling him was that there's something over this. Like he said that he had spoken to like one of the spirits, and it was like, and said that he got the feeling that something stopped it from communicating with him, like after like a while. And it was like, there was something there bigger than that spirit of the child that he was communicating with. He said it was a young boy. And that this other overarching entity was like keeping them there. And this goes with what the idea that the Tennessee Wraith Chasers was, that they were going to try and either get the spirit of Gina Hall into their prism or trap the Red Eyes, is what they believe is the entity, and then allow other spirits to communicate with them.
So I think Red Eyes is the bad one. The one keeping everybody there.
Yes. That's what most, I think, is the consensus for that one, for this case. So that was interesting.
The idea of having like somewhere that's so haunted that it, like all these haunted spirits kind of like either like meld together to form some sort of like super spirit, or just like something is drawn there from the other side that's like, perfect, these are all my pets and I now keep them as my little ghost slaves. It's like some sort of beacon to this other kind of entity. It's just terrifying to me that you would like either way you go with that one. I'm like, not a big fan.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Well, so their approach to this was they took this quartz prism after they had their seance and their lock-in during their investigation, and they put it in some kind of device that they have back at their base or something. And it's like, I don't know what it is. Like it looks like some kind of like pressure box. I don't know, but they put the orb in there, and all I could read or like the labels underneath some of like the gauges and the switches and stuff, and some of the labels, and they're not like printed metal labels. It's like somebody took a label maker and put it on there. But some of them were like Firefly, Force Field, Hellfire. I was like, what do those buttons do? What does the Hellfire button do? I want to know.
I'm intrigued. I would like to know.
They put it in there. And I think they felt like they said that they didn't like really feel like maybe the quartz crystal had really gotten anything. And one of the crew members like commented saying that, maybe it got lost, like as we took it out, like it like, and we were driving back to our base, like it left. And so, maybe I was like, wait, so you just dropped ever. Yeah. I was like, wait, you just dropped off Red Eyes' ghost like in the middle of nowhere? Like
a ghost bomb.
Yeah. You could have just been in somebody's house now. Bomb. Yeah. It was like, I feel like you're approaching
irresponsible.
Exactly. I was like,
would they leave it on top of the car like a fucking coffee?
You remember that asshole showed up and fucking released all the ghosts from the Ghostbusters place?
Yeah.
Like that's what this guy just did.
Yeah. I was like, you were horribly irresponsible that you didn't lock that thing up and then being like in a lead box or something and been like, okay, like, yeah. And then they're like, no, maybe it got loose on the way here. And I'm like, what? Oh, you just let that Red Eyes ghost just wander around southwestern Virginia now. Probably took residence up in somebody's house.
The majority of Virginia's haunted anyways.
That's true.
Anybody really gonna notice? Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. According to them, it was pretty haunted. So, if we get down there and put a stamp on it. Most haunted place on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, it sounds terrifying. Everything about it. Like anytime people are like somewhere where they house crazy people on top of some sort of burial site where
dead
lots
babies,
of people died,
scalpings,
and I'm like,
people burning to death.
Yeah,
saying that though, I would love to go on a ghost hunt like that.
You can.
Would you want to do a ghost hunt?
Yeah, I would love to do a ghost hunt.
Yeah.
Some people, maybe not this one. The major complaint on TripAdvisor about this the ghost tours here is that there's too many people. Apparently, they have large groups of like 20, 22 people. Like,
you got to go in.
They're like,
The thing about ghost hunting is, it would be way scarier if you went with no equipment, no recording devices, just like a headlamp and a few people.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the content out of it, but as for the scare factor, just for you personally being there.
Yeah, the stories.
Scary.
Especially if you went in and he didn't come out.
No, okay, well then you'd be dead.
Yeah, but then no, you don't leave any recording stuff behind. No one, it's way more of a mystery.
Yeah, there's only 18 reviews. They're not all good. Waited in line for over 3 hours. What is this, Six Flags?
I think they definitely run a haunted house out of there every Halloween.
Yeah,
Like,
they have a gift shop at the end.
That's where you buy those
babies.
quartz fucking.
That's why you buy your own pickle babies.
Yeah.
Commemorative, your St. Albans commemorative pickle baby. But it's like, yeah, if there's, we talk about it all the time. If there's a place that would definitely be haunted, it would be one of these areas where you had these, inhumane procedures done on people, cruelty, like that again was at the time. It wasn't
is still going on. You have people waiting 3 hours. Yeah, that's terrible. That's ungodly.
I mean, yeah, it's like that's almost as worse
That's
as
Disneyland
giving a
like
person a lobotomy is making them wait 3 hours to go on a ghost tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I still, I would be very much that this is one of those morals. It's like the best intentions he had. He was going to make a better place, and then it got
rooftop terrace in a bowling alley. He was on the right. He wanted to do well.
Yeah,
he wanted to provide a safe space. Then they ended up with 100-to-1 patient ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
They never stopped.
But the money he was raking in when it was 6,500 to 49 or whatever.
He was making bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I don't think he cared.
Yeah, it's just like this is one of the I guess that's what it said in a couple places where it was like it is the most haunted place on the East Coast, which is like it's in southwestern Virginia, in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know. Well, Tennessee race chasers say it was haunted, so I believe them. That southern
Sounds like an XFL
know-how.
team.
Yeah, they could be.
That would be a good name for the Wraith Chasers for a XFL. Good XFL team name.
What I just said about 30 seconds ago.
Jesus
did you say
Christ,
XFL?
my
I thought
God.
NFL.
I said it'd be a good
NFL.
metal band earlier in the show. Andrew just said it'd be a good XFL, and then you just immediately just said the exact same thing.
Be good. It'd be good at XFL.
Be a good metal band and XFL.
You know what else? It'd be a good metal band too. Actually,
It'd be a good metal band to play at halftime at an XFL show.
Is the XFL back? Didn't they rock by it or something?
They said it was, but
Have they had didn't they have like one season? I don't know.
They only had one season actually, and then they were going to bring it back, and they were going to mix in the AFL or something like that.
Okay,
and it just never came to fruition.
Stuck in limbo.
Vince McMahon just got another fucking sexual assault.
Oh yeah,
so shut it down.
And they're like,
shut it down.
Distance ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is like surprise no one. Like
no. People are just slowly realizing that like Mr. McMahon is not a character. That's
who he is. It's a fucking maniac.
It's actually worse. That's actually a toned down version of like who he is.
Oh no, he sexually assaulted tons of chicks in the Attitude area.
watch it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was just
It was horrifying.
That was just
it was all work. It was all part of the show, so it was fine, right?
It was just characters.
No, it happened.
No,
right in front of everybody. It's horrible.
Fucking crazy. Anyways, haunted. Maybe the most haunted place. I mean, the only way we can find out for sure is to go there on our own.
We're gonna bring our own quartz prisms and ghost traps.
Okay, fuck it. Let's go. Our next pod trip, let's go to Virginia. We'll go to Colonial Williamsburg. We'll go to fucking
we can use all our new cameras that we're getting to. We can all have our vlog cameras going. Hey guys,
if you need a place,
it's the Wraith Chasers.
It's the Wraith Chasers.
I guess all of Virginia would be haunted because there are actually Virginia has no natural. I think we have one natural lake. It's all rivers. So if you have one person die in a river, then it's pretty much the whole place is haunted.
No, but that's what I think a lake would be more haunted because the water has a longer residency time. They say.
Yeah, but if you had a person die in the lake, just one person die in that one lake, then everywhere's haunted.
Yeah, true. Well, they'd have to die under.
Does it get diluted?
Reasons.
These are all questions that need to be asked.
This is true.
Answers.
Well, we live on one of the most haunted lakes in the world, then for sure.
We get a lot of deaths on the lake.
Okanagan Lake killed Lake Lanier.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This year it's like Lake Lanier.
So Look
It's
at the
like a
bitch ass
pond.
numbers.
Get your numbers up, Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier 2024 deaths.
You gotta go. No, you gotta go last year. 2023 deaths.
2023. Okay, we'll go 2023.
2024 is not over yet.
Well,
Unless you're already beating
the
it.
fucking summer
13
season, that's the
deaths
big-
in Lake Lanier.
Yeah, none. That's barely anything.
Okanagan.
Lake deaths.
13,000.
2023, 29.
Wow.
Dude blew
Super
it out.
on it.
And Lake Lanier is supposed to be the most haunted lake in the world. Yeah, right. We're giving that to Okanagan Lake now.
BC has not.
They don't even have an Ogopogo.
Dude, BC has something like
No, they don't.
10,000 lakes of different sizes. Something like that.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. 100 people have died in all those lakes combined, and 25% were just in Okanagan Lake.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Something's in there.
Something's in, dude. It's fucking Ogopogo.
Ogopogo?
Yeah.
There was a cryptid show on the other day, and they were doing Ogopogo, and they were talking about all the places.
Was it
that
Mike
near where
Tyson
you live.
Mysteries?
No, it wasn't Mike Tyson Mystery. It was called, what was it called? Boogeyman. This is Boogeyman series, and then one of them was Ogopogo. We talked about Ogopogo.
Dude,
and it was like Pentic.
it's a big lake. It's like something like 700 or 800 feet deep. At some points, like you could house a lake monster in here.
Yeah,
It's got tunnels that attach to the ocean, underground tunnels. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
You can swim all the way.
to the Hollow Earth.
Oh fuck yeah!
Works on Godzilla.
Yeah,
Godzilla
it's all
logic.
checking out now.
Yeah.
They fell there with Kong.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
you
saying.
get there.
So it's like, for sure. And it's like, yeah. So like, if there are going to be kaijus coming out, it's
So
going to be
Ogopogo is a kaiju. Is what you're saying?
But yes,
Oh, yeah.
now
100%.
now that really makes a lot more
Without
sense.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's a terrifying lake serpent.
So not only is it haunted, but it also has a kaiju. Twofer.
Man, this got put Okanagan Lake in one of the top deadliest lakes in all of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 2023. They were putting up some like goat
We were
numbers.
putting up numbers.
Yeah.
They call them accidental drownings.
Yeah, there was a week where we did two calls with deaths in the lake.
So these are
One of them we couldn't even
these
find.
are just the drownings. What about all the discarded bodies?
Yeah,
Oh,
those are just the ones we know of, the official ones. The unofficial number is probably higher.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Case file 336, The Mysteries of Okanagan Lake.
Of the most haunted lake.
Even if we did a pod trip here and could get both you guys here, worth it.
That'd be fun. Get some dive gear.
Snort.
No, get some dive gear. Go out to Rattlesnake Island and try and find them.
Oh yeah.
It'd be awesome.
You can't
Let's
see
go.
more than 5 feet under the water, but we'll look.
Actually, we could fucking we could give her. It would be fun.
It'd be the cheapest to do the
That's what I mean.
Just do the
We
pod
could
trip from
fucking afford
home.
to drink.
This summer.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like we'd have to be like, listen, it's work. We'd have to like get an Airbnb or something. So we're not.
That's true.
Everybody's away
Yeah.
from home. You know? Yeah.
Stay at my parents'
Business.
Airbnb.
No.
So you get the phone call and you'll be like, oh, I gotta
go. Yeah, fuck. Shit himself again.
Yeah.
All right,
Can't get him to do anything.
we got some new supporters. There's
There's only one person I'm going to read this week.
Okay. Must be super special.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
king
is.
of all
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
donors.
So
Yes.
Pod
he
Daddy.
has specifically
Pod
asked
Daddy.
me not
It's
to
Pod
say his
Daddy.
real name
So his name is Pod
or
Daddy.
how much
Yeah.
he donated.
Padandi.
yeah.
But all I'm going to say is his Discord name is Big Fat Monkey, and he has donated a sizable sum of money to the show.
Yes.
He's our Pod Daddy.
Yeah.
We thought he was joking at first when he sent this little like handwritten contract. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. No, he fucking sent it. So if he continues if he follows through with what he's saying, he will surpass the number one supporter of all time, Drew Baca.
God damn.
Oh yeah, easily.
So, Big Fat Monkey,
yeah,
theorite of the
big-
week, theorite of the
big-
month, theorite of
The
Spooktober.
year. The decade.
Yeah, dude of the year. Yeah, we'll give it to her earlier this year.
No, we didn't do theorite of the
Let's
year
go.
last year.
He's got it. He got it last year.
Last year and this year.
Yeah.
He bought his way to the top.
Retro.
Bought his way to the top.
Yeah. Retro activated.
Yeah, super.
No, it helps the show. It helps us
Beauty.
get some new gear and
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
Absolute
it's
beauty.
fucking awesome.
I won't. We won't. We'll honor his identity, his mystique.
We're going to be ATTHD in a second.
Yeah.
We will have
we
the
got?
potential here pretty soon.
It's going to be a mistake.
Yeah, you might see stuff you don't want to know.
Yeah.
All these dark cameras, though, we gotta get a little light on these boys.
Oh, that's when
yeah.
you started working out. So no.
Yeah, man, I
I
fucking started
feel
running
better.
again to shave off a couple pounds off the old jawline.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get one of
just
those.
jumped on the Ozempic train like me.
Make sure you microdose your Ozempic.
Braden is spending all the Cosmic
that
Channel's
today.
donations on Ozempic, actually, to help the show.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's a
It's an expense.
Ozempic,
It's a business expense.
Ozempic and EpiPen.
Yep. It's a hell of a combo.
Double dart.
You like tape them together.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. That's it for this week. Spooktober will continue.
We'll see you next week. Keep those eyes on the skies.
Peace.